Right, so here we have my 1850 points of Chaos Space Marines. We've gone with a combined arms attachment here with a formation at the front. We've gone with the Black Legion Cabal here. I can't remember what it's called at the top of my head, but it's the Black Legion 1 Free Sorcerers, and they get some nasty abilities. So I left them at the front. Then we've got my Warlord here, Flying Demon Prince Mark of Nurgle with Power Armor, a Spell Familiar. Here we've got a Mauler Fiend there. We've got 10 Chaos Space Marines here with combat weapons, bolt guns and bolt pistols. In the squad we've got 2 Flamers. We've also got the Champion there, who's got a plasma pistol, and we're rocking up in the Slam Raider here. Moving along, we've got 5 Chaos Space Marines with a melter gun, a plasma pistol, and they're in this Rhino, which has got a Havoc launcher. Over here we've got one of our heavy choices here. We have got a Havoc squad with 4 plasma guns and a combi plasma there on the Champion, and they're also in this Rhino here with a Havoc launcher. Next to them we've got 5 Raptors with 2 melter guns. At the front here we've got 10 cultists with combat weapons and auto pistols. And finally at the very back we have got a Helldrake with a Bale Flamer there. For my Warlord trait, my Demon Prince has rolled and got himself Furious Charge, which I'm not sure how effective that's going to be, but there we go, we got it nonetheless. Also in this, with the formation, we've got 3 level 3 sorcerers with spell familiars. We've got several different psychic powers, but we'll go through them as the game progresses, because it's pretty pointless now because it's not going to mean anything to you at the current moment. So that's my 1850 points. Let's have a look to see what Daryl and his Eldar are bringing. So once again we've got Daryl with his Eldar there back, and very nice army we've got here, nice selection. Daryl, do you want to run through left to right what you are bringing today and what detachments and formations?
Okay, so we've got one of my troop choices and HQs over there, the Wind Riders. We've got 3 shuriken cannons and the Farseer on a jet bike with a singing spear.
Very nice.
He's lost some psychic powers, but as Dom said, we'll go through those as the game pops up.
Indeed.
We've also got our Wraithlord there, one of my heavy support choices. He has the Bright Lance, the Ghost Glaive, a single flamer and a shuriken catapult.
Very nice. And in front?
Yeah, so over here we've actually got a formation.
Okay.
So this is the aspect host, I believe it's called. You can take 3 out of any of the aspects. So I've gone for a Dire Avenger over here, just over there.
Yep.
Dark Reapers here and the Fire Dragons here.
Very nice.
So they would get +1 ballistic skill.
Very nice.
The Fire Dragons are also in a Wave Serpent, which has a Shuriken Cannon and Twin-Linked Bright Lance.
Good. And have we got X-Archers as well?
Yes, we have. So the Dark Reaper X-Arch here has the Tempest Launcher. Now, unfortunately, the only way I've got to denote the Fire Dragons one is a slight difference in the gun. I haven't given him an upgrade, so he's just got a slightly higher leadership, that's all. So
fair enough, Daryl.
Watch out for him. The other troop choice I have is my Dire Avengers here. They again have a X-Arch with the sword and the shuriken pistol, and they're also in a Wave Serpent with a shuriken cannon, and this time a twin-linked scatter laser turret.
Very nice. And then over here?
We have Karandras, who's my second HQ, leading some very old school models of Striking Scorpions. Again, there is an X-Arch in there, and he's got the upgrade chainsword, but it's got a Scorpion's Bite or something along those lines.
Yeah, that guy there, looking very nice. I love these old retro models. Yeah. Excellent.
Absolutely. In the back, got the... my brain's completely gone now.
Fire Prism?
That's the one. I don't even know my arms. Fire Prism, Shuriken Cannon, no other upgrades.
Very nice. And then finally...
I've taken a formation from the Solitaires. It's the Hero's Path. So that's a single Solitaire, Death Jester and Shadow Seer. They gain Stealth, Shrouded and Infiltrate, but they have to act absolutely independently otherwise.
Very nice. Okay, so that's what Daryl's brought. We've seen my force. Let's have a look at the battlefield and mission. Right, so Here we are. We are doing the relic, and we're doing hammer and anvil, and we're on a brand new board today. We're giving it a christening game. So we've got a nice jungle board here today. It's looking very nice. Lots of glorious fauna on this battlefield. We are doing the relic mission, hammer and anvil deployment, although it's the relic mission with a very slight difference. So in the middle here, this ruined outpost, we've got a little spell familiar there. This spell familiar could be responsible for a lot of the ruined buildings around us, and of course the population have disappeared. So this spell familiar, part of the special rules will be every turn, the beginning of the first player's turn, he will move randomly 2d6 and scattering in a random direction. Although after the first turn, if a double is rolled for his movement, he will disappear back into the warp and be gone for the rest of the game. So then it will be down to secondary objectives. So something a little bit different. Once the relic has been seized by either side here, he cannot disappear back into the warp. He'll be contained and captured. So it kind of means we have to get in there fast, capture the familiar, and make sure he doesn't disappear. So that's the mission. Deployment is hammer and anvil. Let's run through what we've basically got here. So over on this far flank for the chaos, we have got the havocs in this rhino. We've got the demon prince there. We've got the 5-man squad in a rhino there. We have got the raptors back here behind the cultists. We have got the mauler fiend here behind the land raider with the troops in there. Also, the cabal have been split up, so we got one member with this squad, one member with this squad, and one member over there with the havocs. And of course the Helldrake is in reserve. Moving across, Daryl has places Eldar all over the place. There is a lot of infiltrators. So back here we've got the fire prism, poised to take out the heavy support over on this flank. We have got the Death Jester here. We've got the Solitaire there.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, I'm getting good at this. And we've got the other one up here.
Shadow Seer.
Shadow Seer, yes. We've got the Dire Avengers in the ruins there. We've got this squad. Who's in this tank here?
Dire Avengers in this one.
Dire Avengers in there. And we've got the Wind Riders here with the Fasir. We've got the Dark Reapers there. And of course we've got the Fire Dragons will be in this one over here. We've got the Wraith Lord in that one. We've got the Striking Scorpions and Krandraz hidden there. So, Daryl, are you quite impressed to actually remembered all your Elder names except for one?
I am indeed.
Nice, excellent. So you've got nothing in reserve, everything is on the battlefield. It is not night fighting. Currently the Chaos Forces will be going first, of course. That's Daryl seizes. Here we go. No. So over turn 1 for Chaos. Turn 1 movement for Chaos, and all along the line here is a bit of a push forwards. The Mauler Fiend moving over behind the Land Raider and coming through here behind this building, trying to get as far away from that fire prism as it possibly can. Over here, Land Raider just moves 6 inches forwards there, hoping to get one las cannon shot off, maybe a lucky shot to kill off something, maybe the Jester, although he is in cover and he's got infiltrate. Stealth
and shrouded.
Stealth and shroud. Ooh, maybe not then. So over here, they've moved up here. This squad have pushed up, deployed. We're going to try and get some psychic spells off in a minute onto the these guys. Over here, the Demon Prince is now flying about, and the Havocs are still on the flank here at the moment. So very interesting. We'll see what's going to happen. The relic though, the spell familiar, he popped around here, possibly seeing his Chaos Brethren. He's decided maybe he wants to go and join them, but we will see. So let's move on to psychic and shooting and see what Chaos can do. Right, so turn 1 psychic and shooting for Chaos. And in the psychic phase, this Demon Prince, he casts Psychic Shriek down onto the Wraith Lord, went off, and Daryl was unable to deny it, and they rolled a 14, so the Wraith Lord is dead, it's gone. Also, we tried to summoning didn't work. Over here, we got off the ability for the Cabal, which is basically warp charge free, pick a unit, non-vehicle unit within 30 inches, and take them over and shoot them as if they were yours. So we cast it, it went off, bam, onto these guys here, and then they fired their missiles down onto the tank here, causing 1 hull point and shaking it. And Daryl did decide to jink, so it'll be snap shooting next turn. In shooting, generally not much happened. Both these rhinos here pop smokes. I apologise also for my voice, it's a bit gravelly. I can't help that, sorry. And over here, the Land Raider fired 1 las cannon at full capacity and 1 snap firing. Over here, Daryl decided not to jink, and it was a good choice because both the las cannon shots are missed. Over here, Raptors ran forwards, and the Mauler Fiend is still charging forwards, only meters away from its first target. But we will see. There's going to be no assault. Oh, sorry, one last thing. We got Nurgle's Rot off as well. It killed 1 Chaos Marine over here and did 1 wound to Krandraz there. So that was it. So there's going to be no assault this turn. We're going to move straight on now to turn 1 for Eldar and see if they can get some much wanted revenge. Turn 1 movement for Eldar, and by the look of it, Daryl seems to be pushing all his forces, or the majority, over onto this flank. But Daryl, do you want to run through what you're doing?
Absolutely. Okay, so with this being shocked, it's moved up, deployed the Fire Dragons. They're going to try and take the initiative now and see what they can do.
Yep.
The Scorpions have moved into the building just to give them a bit of cover as they can't assault this turn as they infiltrated.
Indeed.
So we're going to have to wait for that. These guys on the jet bikes moved round. I have a few plans. We'll see how they go.
Okay.
We'll wait and see. This Wave Serpent has moved round purely because I have a big problem with that Mauler Fiend at the moment.
Yeah, so the Mauler Fiend, for people who don't know, it moves 12, it's got fleet, it's not slowed down by terrain of any type, so it is definitely a threat to this part of the battlefield at the moment.
So what I had to do is just, I've been playing it a little bit safe, I've pulled him back slightly. That will probably mean that Dom will get the objective, but we'll wait and see with the random occurrences of it.
Yep.
Plus I do have a plan to try and slow that a little bit, but we'll wait and see. So the Solitaire has jumped back again purely because he can't deal with that Mauler Fiend, and that Mauler Fiend was gunning for him. So he's pulling back for the moment, and hopefully I'll be able to bring him to bear more in the next couple of turns. Dark Reapers have stayed where they are, they've got quite a nice speed.
Yeah.
These Avengers have moved up, they're my on-foot unit, wait and see what happens. Everything else has stayed put, so the Death Jester with his line of sight stayed put, Chanticleer stayed put, and the Fire Prism has stayed put as well.
Over there. Very nice. Right, okay, so let's move on to turn 1, Psychic and Shooting for Eldar, and see what they can do. Turn 1, Psychic and Shooting for Eldar, and in the Psychic phase, Thea tried to cast Psychic Shriek up onto the Demon Prince. It went off, although Demon Prince did pass its leadership in 3d6 quite easily-ish. So he was fine. He also tried and cast Invisibility, and that did not go off. So Psychic really wasn't that much. Bit disappointing there for Daryl.
Unfortunately, that kind of still basically indicated what was going to happen for the rest of the turn. So, Fire Dragons moved up.
Yep.
Tried to fire at the Rhino, didn't do anything.
No, but then what did destroy the Rhino?
The Wave Serpent at the back, that managed to pop it, at least, which kind of helped.
Using its...
Fired everything in the end.
Yep.
So
that blew that up.
Then I had the Dark Reapers try and thin out that squad. They were kind of successful, took 3 out, so it just spins those plasmas a little bit, so that helps. The bikes, they moved round using their turbo boost just to try and get away from the Mauler Fiend. I'm playing it risky here. I'm leaving Dom with that objective because I'm hoping I can take out this flank and maybe move around. We'll see.
We will see, Daryl. We will see. What else happened in your shooting phase?
So the Dire Avengers used the Battle Focus to move up. With only what they had in range being the Demon Prince, they took a few pot shots, but it was a vain hope anyway, so nothing came out of that.
Yes, only the first 3 were in range, weren't they? And they fired up and decided not to jink, and luckily he didn't hit with anything, so that was quite good.
Absolutely. The Death Jester, unfortunately, the only thing he could see was that Mauler Fiend, because it's blocking those troops very nicely. So he had to take a couple of pot shots with it, but again, nothing. It was again a long shot. The Shadow Steer stayed put at the moment. I think I'm going to have to move next turn, bring her more into the action. And finally, the Fire Prism just tried to again fire at that Mauler Fiend. That's the biggest threat I've got to deal with. It hit, but it failed to penetrate even on the Strength 9 shot. Yeah, so luck was not on my side this turn.
Not good. And I don't believe you got any assault this turn, have you?
No, unfortunately all my assaulting units infiltrated, so they will have to wait another turn.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to move on now to turn 2 for Chaos, and let's see what happens. Right, so turn 2 movement for Chaos, and the spell familiar in the centre saw the conflict arising around it and decided it's had enough and disappeared into the warp. So it is now down to secondary objectives, and currently Chaos are of course in the lead with First Blood, taking out the Wraith Lord, and yeah, so it's changed the game slightly now. Right, so moving on to movement, the Raptors here have moved up onto this building. One unfortunately failed its difficult dangerous terrain check and died, one of the melters. The Mauler Fiend charged through the building and eyeing up these Avengers. The Demon Prince has gone into, he's come down from flying, he's now wanting to get in combat and kill some stuff. This squad of Chaos Marines have edged round. They are going to put some shots into the Fire Dragons. These plasmas have edged slightly forwards just to get in rapid fire range. The Rhino has just corrected itself to put up a Havoc round onto these guys up here. And the Land Raider here, he's gone 12. He's now coming up with his cargo to support the conflict over here. He's also bringing out the cultists. I think it's more the cultists want to take part rather than the Chaos Space Marines think they need the cultists. So we're going to move on to turn 2, Psychic and Shooting, and hopefully a few Eldar will disappear. Turn 2, Psychic and Shooting for Chaos, and this Demon Prince here, he casted Nurgle's Rot once again, hitting the Solitaire, causing a wound, taking out one of the bikes here, and taking out a couple of the scorpions there, so pretty effective. He also tried to cast Psychic Shriek on the Solitaire, didn't go off, past his leadership, and finally he tried to summon some demons. He was summoned over here. Unfortunately they'd scatter into this Deep Throat mishap, misplaced, and Daryl very nicely decided to place them over in the far corner over there, so thank you very much for that one, Daryl. Over here we got Shroud of Deceit off once again. We cast it on to the Fire Dragons. Here the Fire Dragons then decided it was a good idea to take out their transport. So the transport has been destroyed. Very nice. Also we cast Prescience on the Plasmas. The Plasmas then fired in the shooting phase and took out several of the dragons, leaving only 2 remaining there. Over here the squad of Marines fired in here and did 1 more wound, I think, to the Scorpions. Finally, snap firing shot from the Heavy Bolter took out one of the jet bikes, and that was it really. So enough happened. Not too much, not too little, just enough. So we're going to move on to Assault, and we're going to decide where the Mauler Fiend's going to end up, against the Avengers or against the Jester. Decisions. So, moving on to turn 2, Assault for Chaos. Oh, turn to assault for Chaos and the Mauler Fiend. He had 2 targets to pick from between the Dire Avengers and Death Jester, and he thought, we'll go for the Death Jester. So he came in, he shoulder barged the Death Jester and crushed him. He then consolidated over here, heading there towards Fire Prism. The Mauler Fiend enjoys a nice tank, and he's on his way to the tank and hopefully to Line Breaker if he can survive a volley of shots. So that is it for assault. That was the only thing that happened. We're going to move on now to turn 2 for Eldar, and I've got a feeling it might turn a little bit in their favour. Turn 2 for the Eldar, and it looks like Daryl's got a bit of a plan here. Daryl, do you want to run through what you've been up to this turn?
Okay, so it's basically now or never. I know it's only turn 2, but it's not gone well for the Eldar. So we've deployed the Dire Avengers here. They're going to try and fire onto the Demon Prince. The Solitaire's going to go for it as well. He's declared his Blitz. A turn 2 Blitz is not something I want to do, but I need to recoup and cause a lot of damage, and he stands a good chance perhaps of getting that Demon Prince to a seat.
So, do you want to explain what Blitz does for those who don't know about the Blitz?
Okay, so Blitz is a 1 game only special rule. The Solitaire can declare it. His movement is D6 by over how many turns it is, so in this case 2d6.
Yep.
His attack characteristic is increased to 10.
Ooh.
It allows him to move however much he rolled over terrain, models. It just can't end in a friendly or enemy model, so he has to keep an inch away.
Right, okay.
It's supposed to be like a last ditch attempt, and the fact I happen to use it on turn 2 shows just how badly this has gone for me.
Right.
I'm hoping I can turn it around. So what I'm aiming for there is the attack characteristic increased to 10 to see how it does against
humans. Right. We will see. It'll be pretty spectacular, whatever happens. But there we go. So that's what's happening there. So these guys have come out, and the transport has flown around here.
Absolutely. So I need to get rid of that Mauler Fiend. I keep going on about it. I've got to get rid of it.
Yep. So the Mauler Fiend is there. Your other tank over there has back to the corner over there.
Yep. And
you've got your Shadow Seer down here.
Yep. She's going to move forward and try and do some shenanigans with those raptors, keep them at bay a little bit.
So yeah, the raptors are over here in the centre of the battlefield there.
So it's the other final piece really is just on this flank crown, just to move around. With the striking scorpions, he's going to go for some assault, try and see what he can do to cause a lot of damage.
Yep, okay, and the fire dragons are pushed up as well as your leader and the remaining Wind Rider there.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, so let's move on to turn 2, psychic and shooting for Eldar, and see what they can do to us. Turn 2, psychic and shooting for Eldar, and nothing happened in the psychic phase. Chaos was still able to dominate it and counter anything that they did get off. So in shooting, these fire dragons fired in, killed off the 2 last raptors, and then the Wind Rider and the Farseer killed off the sorcerer there, so that whole element has disappeared. Over here, this squad here fired into the Demon Prince, trying to do some damage and cause 1 wound. These Avengers down here fired up, killing off 2 of the raptors, leaving only 2 there.
Yep.
And of course, the Mauler Fiend is fallen. He took fire from the Prism, from the Wave Serpent, Dark Reapers. But finally, the Haywire Grenade from the Harlequin killed him off. So that was quite spectacular. Right, so we're going to move on to Assault. This is going to be the main thing that happens in the Assault phase. And of course over here, it's definitely leading in Eldar favour for Assault this turn, but we will see what happens. So let's move on to turn 2, Assault for Eldar. Turn 2, Assault for Eldar, and these guys charged into the squad of Chaos Marines and the Sorcerer, and Krandraz pretty much single-handedly wiped the whole squad out. He then consolidated back into the ruins, and he is going to go and aid the Solitaire, who is currently struggling. Although he did issue his Blitz, he was unable to do any wounds to the Demon Prince. Daryl, how do you feel about that?
I am very unhappy. I've mentioned this a couple of times with you guys. He just doesn't seem to live up to what he should do, really. it could just be bad luck on the occasions, but the 3-4 times I've used him, he's never achieved anything. But you know, who knows? I could be playing him wrong. I'll keep it going, but we'll see.
Yeah, guys. So if you got any experience with Harlequins, Daryl is asking for your help with the solitaire.
Please, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. So feel free to put a comment below. Relatively polite, of course, and let Daryl know any tactics that you could advise him to use. So anyway, that is it for your assault in turn 2. So you wiped out a squad and another member of the Cabal, leaving only one in the Land Raider, which is currently sitting here behind the ruins. And yeah, very nice. We're going to move on to turn 3 for Chaos, and hopefully the Helldrake's going to turn up, but we will see. Free movement for Chaos, and the Land Raiders come round the corner here, and the troops have charged out. They're lining up shots and possibly assault onto these Avengers here. The Raptors that were there have now jumped across. They're going to try and engage them, at least hold them up for a little while. The Helldrake has flown on. He has vector struck the dragons behind, killing off the other one, leaving only the Exarch now, and hopefully we're going to lay down some flaming death onto the Dark Reapers, which are going to be a major threat now the final squad of Chaos Marines are out. Elsewhere, the Cultists are still running up behind the Land Raider, wanting to join in the fight and prove their worth to the Chaos Gods, but we're going to see what they can actually do, if anything. And finally, the Demons that Daryl has so generously placed over here have just run up. They're miles away from anything. They're not really going to be doing anything. So that is it. We're going to move on to Psychic and Shooting now for Chaos, and hope to cause some death upon the Xenos. Right, so turn 3, Psychic and Shooting for Chaos. So these guys are disembarked. They cast Shroud of the Sea with the Sorcerer there onto the Dark Reapers. The Dark Reapers then decided it was a good idea to open fire onto the Avengers, and so they fired down, killing all but one. This guy then holds the ground. He's not going to flee because of a bit of friendly fire, and he's ready to face off against these 2 Raptors there. This squad then, in the shooting phase, decided to shoot everything they had at the Avengers on the other side and wipe them out there. The Helldrake with the Land Raider and the Rhino then concentrated fire onto the Dark Reapers up here, killing all but one. And that one, he decided to break, climb down the building and fall back, possibly trying to get into the grav tank, possibly trying to fall back off the battle, but we'll never know, because it's a Xeno and Xeno minds work differently to us. And that is it. We're going to move on to Assault, where we're going to try and get these Raptors in combat with the Avenger there. Also, we're going to see how this plays out here. So let's move on to turn 3, Assault. Turn 3, Assault for Chaos. We thought it was definitely going in Chaos' favour until the Solitaire pulled out the bag and killed off the Demon Prince into instant death. Which was the instant death attack?
That's the single one from the Harlequin's Kiss, I believe. The Strength 6 AP2, if you roll a 6, it causes instant death, which Dom did not say.
Yeah,
so I take it back. I take it back.
Yeah, so Solitaire is still going there. And over there, the Raptors did charge in and they did kill off the remaining Avenger, and then they consolidated away. So yes, it's that was a big hit for Chaos. We're going to move on now to turn 3 for Eldar to see if they can push home this advantage. And 3 movement for the Eldar, and this Harlequin is now going after the 2 Raptors, seeing if we can do anything also to get away from the massive squad of Chaos Marines that are in the centre. So this squad are now being surrounded by the Scorpions here, the Wind Rider and the Vizier up there. The 2 tanks have now come round also to get a bead on this central position there, as well as the other Harlequin over there. So this squad, possibly Land Raider as well, could be in a bit of trouble. We're going to find out though as we move into turn 3, psychic and shooting for Eldar. Turn 3, psychic and shooting for Eldar, and Chaos is still managing to hang on to psychic supremacy just about, but in shooting, where did they all go? We're down to the champion and the sorcerer. They took fire from every direction. Scorpions here, jet bikes up here, both of the tanks fired in. They've gone to ground, they've passed their morale, but they're going to get assaulted any minute now by the Scorpions. And that is it. It's brutal stuff. The tide has definitely turned for the Xenos, and they are on the winning side. Chaos on the back foot. So let's move on to assault to see if it changes at all. Turn 3 assault for Eldar, and these guys charged in. The champion of Chaos, his plasma pistol overheated, and he killed himself. Or rumour is he pointed the pistol at his head and ended it before being killed by the Xenos. Of course then Krandraz came in and sliced apart the Chaos Sorcerer, so not good. He's then consolidated back slightly. Over here the Solitaire came into the 2 Raptors and easily killed those 2.
I think he's trying to prove me wrong from what I said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So a little tip is badmouth your models, and occasionally they try to prove you wrong. Occasionally. So we're going to move on now to turn 4 for Chaos. See if we can kill off some Xenos. Oh, one last thing. This Fire Dragon, we forgot to mention previously, he did fire his melter gun at almost point blank missed. He then charged into the Land Raider with a melter bomb and then didn't do anything.
I'm saying that his visor's malfunctioning. Something wrong with his visor.
There'll be something wrong with him in a minute. So we're going to move on to turn 4 for Chaos and see if we can kill off some Xenos. Turn 4 for Chaos, and over here Land Raider has reversed slightly to get some better shots in. The cultists have fallen back slightly to meet up with their supporting units. The Bloodletters are finally getting close. Will it be enough to save the cultists? We'll find out. But they've fallen back there. The Rhino's lining up some more shots in, possibly onto Krandraz and his squad there. The Helldrake has flown over. He vector struck the Wind Riders but failed to wound. But he's going to put some flaming death onto the Shadow Seer there. So that is movement. We're going to move on to shooting now. Hopefully you can kill off a couple of bits and see how it goes for turn 4 shooting and psychic. Turn 4 shooting for Chaos. We no longer have psychic as all our psychics are dead. So the Land Raider there fired a las cannon into the Fire Dragon, killed him off as he was the closest and biggest threat to the Land Raider. Over here this Rhino fired a Havoc and Bolter in and took out one of the Scorpions, leaving just the Exarch and Krandraz there. And over here fired Helldrake, flamed in there, but he passes vulnerable save, damn him. So that is it. It's not much at the moment. We haven't got any assault, so we're going to move straight on to turn 4 for the Eldar and see what they're going to do to us. Turn 4 movement for Eldar, and now Eldar are down to a very elite force, even more so. So we got the Shadow Seer over here, lining up on these guys here. Krandraz and his remaining Scorpion are facing off against the armour. The Solitaire there has moved up as well.
Add that as well, just to show
Krandraz one wound. And Farseer and the Wind Rider have moved to the flank of the Rhino there. So that is it at the moment. Oh! There we go. Sorry, this little chap here, he's moved up as well. So we're going to see what happens now in psychic and shooting. Turn 4 for Eldar. Turn 4 shooting and psychic for Eldar. And this guy here fired a shot across the field onto him. He then scattered off and killed off 2 cultists. Cultists are still staying. They're fine, they can take more. There's not many Forces of Chaos left that need to do their part. And that was almost it for shooting. We had some shots up at the Helldrake. The Helldrake, of course, didn't jink. He'd rather take it on his demon save. And finally, over here, the Wind Rider with the Fascia have gone and they're going for line breaker there. So that is it. We're going to move on to assault and see what the Elder forces can do. So turn 4 assault for Eldar, and Krandraz charged into the Rhino and bashed it up. It's now wrecked, and Krandraz is also invisible. Sorry, I didn't mention it before, but he got invisibility cast upon him, so he's a bit harder to hit this turn. So we are going to move on now to turn 5 for Chaos, and let's see what we can do to him. 5 movement for Chaos, and these cultists, their moment is now, and they are pushing up. They're going to put some shots in and maybe assault Krandraz. Krandraz is currently invisible because he's not hard enough to kill at the moment for cultists.
I apologise.
So we're going to do our best, and hopefully somehow the gods will bless them and kill off Krandraz. Over here the Land Raider's pushed up. He's going to give another volley of shots into the Solitaire. The Bloodletters here coming through this narrow alleyway there, and we're going to try and get in combat there. And finally, the Helldrake's gone into hover mode, and he is holding the back line there. So this is what is going to happen. They're going to kill that, they're going to kill that, and it's going to be a Chaos victory. So we're going to move on to shooting turn 4 for Chaos. So it appears the Chaos Gods have not quite blessed these cultists. They fired their auto pistols in, did 1 wound, 1 hit, 1 wound to the Exarch there. He then decided to pass the save. Damn him. Over here the Land Raider fired its las cannon in, hit wounded, and he passes his invulnerable save. We then try to snap fire the heavy bolter in, and nothing hit. So that is it for Chaos shooting. We're going to try 2 assaults. We're going to try this assault here, and the cultist assault over there, and we're going to see what we can do to the remaining Elder forces. So the Chaos cultists charged in. They lost 2 of their number to Krandraz, the champion, in a challenge, and another fell. We also then killed the Exarch, doing 2 wounds. So it's actually a draw in combat, and Krandraz is a little bit outnumbered with 1 wound left. Fingers crossed the cultists can do what they have to do and finish him off. Also over here, the Bloodletters were going to charge in over there to the Shadow Seer. Unfortunately, no, the snap fired, killed off the front Bloodletter, and then they failed their charge. So very lucky there for the Shadow Seer. He's definitely, or she, I don't know, she is definitely someone you don't want to mess with after killing a Mauler Fiend and a couple of demons now. So we're going to move on to turn 5 for Eldar, and the final turn. So let's see what they can do in their turn 5. 5 movement for Eldar, and the bikes have come flying around here. They're now lining up shots against the demon host over here. They're not the only ones though, because over here the Fire Prism is charging up its cannon once more. It's bound to be putting another template down onto the demons there. Shadow Seer, I'm not too sure what she's up to at the moment. I'm pretty sure Daryl's got plans for her, but we will see. Over here, tank has span round. He's going to put some shots into the Helldrake. I'm not sure it's going to be enough, but we're going to find out. And finally, yeah, Solitaire is going to try something against the Land Raider, but we're going to see. So let's move on to turn 5, Psychic and Shooting for Eldar. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be nasty. Turn 5, Psychic and Shooting, and the Fascia over here, he casts Psychic Shriek onto the Bloodletters and killed, I think, about 6 of them off. It was pretty horrendous. So 6 died. They were then shot at by the Wind Rider there, and of course over here is the 1 Bloodletter remaining. I haven't done the leadership for him yet. Let's do a quick leadership. Well, I remember. Oh yeah, he's going to hang around. We've got a 3 there, so he's still there. And that is pretty much it. We had some sporadic fire over here into the Helldrake. The Helldrake jinked but didn't need to, as no penetrating hits were scored. So we're going to move on to assault now for Eldar to see if they can take out the Land Raider, and Krandraz, we can kill the remaining cultists. So let's have a look. Right, so at the end of turn 5 assault for Eldar, and at the end of the game, we have got a draw. Krandraz over here was able to kill off the remaining cultists there. As they broke, he cut them down. Over here, the Solitaire did nothing in combat against the Land Raider, and that was it. So Eldar have got themselves Warlord kill, killing off the Demon Prince, and they've got Linebreaker over here with the Vizier and the Wind Rider. Chaos got first blood by killing off the Wraith Lord, and they have got themselves Linebreaker over here with the Helldrake. A very bloody and well fought battle for both sides. It went both ways, I think, and yeah, quite happy with a draw at the end. How about you, Daryl?
Yeah, very happy. You can tell from my tone at this first couple of turns, I thought it was going terribly, but it turned it around, and I owe my apologies to that Solitaire. I called my doom and misfortune too soon with him. He really turned it around.
Yeah, do you have a model of the match there?
Well, I think it will have to be Karandra's. He's just disgustingly good. He just kept going, kept chomping through. So yeah, definitely Karandra's. What about you, Dom?
For myself, it's probably actually going to be just the formation, the Cabal. Being able to take over a squad in the shooting phase really worked in her favour. I think it took the Reapers over twice, and the Fire Dragons, and being able to take those extra shots and cause a lot of damage at close range to your force was pretty nasty. I don't think I got a one-off model, but definitely as a formation they did really well. So guys, I hope you all enjoyed this battle. Please give us a like. If you haven't already, subscribe, and there's always plenty of battle reports and competitions, unit reviews and codex reviews coming out. So thank you very much. This is Dom from BlackToad Studio, and I'll see you next time.